Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. First tonight, as COVID continues to take hold across Australia, Tasmanian health authorities have warned masks may be introduced here if the outbreak escalates. And as we close our borders to a growing list of hotspots, our reporter Elizabeth O'Neill joins us now from Hobart Airport. Hello, Lizzie. Now, what new border arrangements have been put into place today?
Kim, as well as restrictions on a number of states already, Public Health today has added 13 areas to the locked out locations in Queensland, including Brisbane, the Gold Coast and Townsville. Now, there's a flight from the Gold Coast due to land here at Hobart Airport in a matter of minutes, and it's believed those people will have to go into isolation. The state government also locking out travellers from Perth and Peel, and for the first time there's been discussion about mask wearing in Tasmania. So far, we've only had to wear them at airports, but experts say they're currently working through the idea of introducing them to events or large gatherings. A decision on that is due in the next 24 hours, so we'll have to wait and see. And as we learnt last night, there's been a major shake-up to our vaccine rollout, and here's how it's going to work. A record number of Tasmanians queue for testing as the mainland grapples with a rapidly rising COVID crisis.
This is a concerning situation. This is a moment where we are dealing with a very aggressive strain, and it's important that we take what steps we can.
Young Australians desperate to be immunised with the spread of the Delta variant. Last night, the Prime Minister greenlighting the AstraZeneca vaccine for people under 40. But patients must speak to their doctor first, with new help on the way.
We will be implementing a new no-fault indemnity scheme for general practitioners who administer COVID-19 vaccines.
Tasmania's vaccine booking website so busy it crashed.
With more community transmission on the mainland, I guess we need to be ready and able to immunise as many people as we can, as quickly as we can.
We need this rollout to accelerate so we can get a higher percentage of our population fully vaccinated and increase our safety.
And pharmacies have been left in the dark, unsure when they'll be administering vaccines.
We have absolutely no idea. It just doesn't make any sense to us. The states have the ability to activate pharmacies in regional and rural areas.
The Premier on edge as cases climb in other states, bringing in new border closures to those in Perth, Peel and 13 areas across Queensland, not allowed into the state without an exemption. Now Tasmanians have been warned they may have to wear masks if our local risk increases.
We look carefully at it and see whether or not we need to add any additional measures. And one of those measures that we may need to either recommend or require is mask wearing.
With school holidays looming, the Premier is urging locals not to travel with the COVID situation changing so rapidly. And an update on a scare earlier this week. 3 minors remain in isolation after coming into contact with a positive case in the Northern Territory.
These people have been contacted, placed into 14 days quarantine. They'll be tested twice during their quarantine. I can confirm that all 3 have to date returned negative tests in the first round of testing.
But one border is opening. New Zealand will resume its travel bubble with Tasmania from Monday.
Now, Lizzie, a lot is changing very fast with these new cases. What does this mean for our local businesses?
Yes, Kim, first I just want to mention the plane that I mentioned before from the Gold Coast has just landed, and you may be able to see that behind me. But last year's COVID lockdown is still fresh in the minds of many, with the people now bracing for potential cases here. The Premier today warned that it's only a matter of time until we see a local case on our shores, and that's left many businesses hoping they won't be forced to lock down again.
Borders slammed shut and cancellations filtered through. This is the COVID normal for many in the tourism sector.
The new world order is that for every one room that you seem to have over these times, you probably had 2 cancellations to get there.
Rooms left empty as school holidays loom, left watching as outbreaks spread across the country. And they're not the only ones navigating the unfolding crisis. The opposition offering its support to the state government in Parliament.
We are with you on this. I give you my complete commitment that there will be no political game playing or point scoring when it comes to COVID.
Asking the Premier to provide weekly briefings to Labor. That proposal quickly shut down.
I'll continue to provide at least a weekly update to the people of Tasmania.
But there are concerns once a week isn't enough.
It's definitely not enough for the Premier to come out once a week.
The daily increases of cases leaving many feeling nervous, including leaders in the hospitality sector gathering for their annual awards night.
It makes you feel a little bit uncertain about your future because we know how quickly you can go from being flat out busy to nothing.
Hoping Tasmania will be able to remain COVID-free and avoid another shutdown.
Cross fingers, because we just don't know what's happening around Australia. We are lucky.
But you just have to push through, and it's the resilience that you just have to have because you don't have a choice.
The memories of last year's COVID chaos still raw. Beck Sides, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania could snatch this weekend's clash between Carlton and Fremantle as the AFL scrambles to find homes for the next round of games. Tom Johnson joins us for the latest. Tom, how likely is it that we'll see that game here?
It's looking very likely, Kim. We can reveal arrangements are being made in terms of broadcasting that game from UTAS Stadium on Saturday afternoon. If it goes ahead, it'll be the 4th AFL match in as many weeks in Tasmania, and that's a first for the state. Late today, the league confirmed the only other venue being considered for the Blues Dockers clash is Geelong. Premier Peter Gutwein spoke to Gil McLachlan last night and again this morning, reiterating Tasmania is open to hosting more games or even a hub for teams. It's just one piece of the puzzle the AFL has been shuffling today as clubs evacuated from Queensland and WA.
DYNNYRNE residents say their lives have been torn apart by a government plan to add a 5th lane to Hobart's southern outlet. The Community Action Group has rallied outside Parliament after it was told homes would be acquired as part of the highway's expansion. But members say they've been left in the dark about whether their houses will be bulldozed or left standing, now calling for a timeline.
How long is Michael Ferguson expecting us to live with this level of stress, uncertainty and fear? Is it a few months until Parliament returns? Is it Christmas? Is it next financial year?
The government says it will meet with residents tomorrow. Tasmanian homeowners will be able to apply for funding to help build a granny flat on their property from tomorrow. The $2.5 million scheme is first in, best dressed, hoping it will help increase the state's housing supply. But there are several catches.
They have to start within 6 months, they have to finish within 2 years, and they must lease it to somebody who needs a lease. So it's going to increase the stock of rental homes in Tasmania by 250.
Not only will it provide more homes in Tasmania as well for those that need it, it'll also provide another investment into homeowners, so they can do a nice investment in their property and get a rental return as well out of it.
Applications for the program open tomorrow afternoon. Welfare groups say homelessness is reaching crisis point in Tasmania as more and more people seek help. Shelters are being pushed to the limits and cost of living expenses are skyrocketing, forcing locals to turn to charities to get by.
Paul Giddins has been providing free weekly meals to those struggling to make ends meet for the past few months.
They usually pick it out. I'll ask them tonight, okay, what are we having next week, and they'll tell me.
He says he's seeing new faces every week.
It can range anything from 25 right up to 40, 50, so yeah.
Locals have been dropping off donations, including blankets, beanies and warm clothes as winter sets in.
The majority of the people who do it are pensioners, believe it or not, and they come in every week. We get a stack like this. We pass it on to Strike It Out, who distribute it.
Charities like the St Vincent de Paul Society and Salvation Army are also seeing demand soar this year in the wake of COVID relief drying up.
From what I've seen in my work, it has increased. There's a lot of people coming through the door now that haven't previously gone through the door, so people are finding it very hard at this time of year.
The state's severe rental shortage is exacerbating the situation.
What we are seeing now, it's a very, very much an increased number of people at risk of homelessness. So those people that, as we said, couch surf or sleep in their cars or move from location to location with kids.
Around 2,000 people are sleeping rough in the state every night.
I think if we've got one person on the street, we're in a crisis point. It'd be lovely to see no one on the street, but that's not a reality.
A new website has also launched today to help disadvantaged Tasmanians access emergency support.
We need to create an extra entry point for people to be able to access our services in an easy and very user-friendly.
LETITIA, WALLACE, 7 Tasmania News.
There's no rest for the volunteers at the Don River Railway. The team's next project arrived at the Inveresk workshed this afternoon. The ABL 12 carriage was built in Ulverston in 1923 and has its original first and second class insignia. Only a refurbishment is required rather than a full restoration, but the task is still likely to take a couple of years. Their last project, a guard carriage used up until the late 1970s, was trucked to the Don River Railway this morning. The carriage had to be fully restored and had parts dating back to the 19th century. A new guide is helping Tasmanians protect the state's bandicoot population by suggesting homemade habitats. 5 ideal landscapes for the species are included in a booklet by NRM North, with one example growing at Riverside. Landowners can copy the designs tailored especially for the eastern barred bandicoot.
They need somewhere to hide, so the focus of the gardens is to provide some cover for them where they can get away from cats and dogs, and to have their nesting habitat where they actually nest within that grass as well.
Tasmania is the only place in Australia where eastern barred bandicoots can still be found in the wild. In a lesson in thinking outside the square, a passionate primary school principal is bringing life to a disadvantaged area by teaming up with a local artist to revitalise the school's buildings. The project is providing motivation for students to succeed, with one awestruck by the artwork, describing it as the best day of his life.
The pencil has been swapped for the paintbrush at Ravenswood Heights Primary School.
It's all colourful instead of all grey.
Highlighting values like aspiration, respect, growth and courage. But you might as well add dedication to that list. Jason Gunn, a first-time principal, only took over late last year, but he made it his mission to give students something to aspire to through the arts.
Providing an opportunity where they can use their skills and their imagination and apply that in a real setting is invaluable.
That's why he joined with James Cowan, better known as Cream Art, teaching students about taking pride in your work and doing so as a team, all while making eyes pop at what the world has to offer.
The kids look at different colours and different shapes and just go, wow. So the brighter we could get it for them, the nicer the courtyard's going to be.
One of our kids last week when they came and he was watching Creamy doing his stuff, he said, "This is the best day of my life."
It's hard to imagine this was all drab brown brick before this crash of colour, which has taken around 20 hours to complete. And the school's appetite for art isn't satisfied yet, with the rest of the building set to be covered by murals made by each class.
Giving these students the opportunity to have the best day of their life every day, that's a really important intrinsic motivator for me.
A vigour for the visual, hoping to translate into every part of life. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News. And University has slammed home 5 goals to 1 against Diamondbacks in the Hockey Premier League, while Derwent has extended its gap at the top to 3 wins after a 2-0 rolling of Northwest Grads. The side intends to keep a consistent lineup for the remaining games.
I think we're trying to fine-tune our things heading into finals. There might be a few stages towards the end of the game. If anything, we're going to try. We're probably going to bring in a few more juniors to give them some time in the Premier League.
In the women's, Derwent and Northwest Grads drew 2-2. University remains winless, going down 2-1 to Diamondbacks.
Good evening. Lyawini, another -6 as most temperatures drop below average overnight. Hobart reached 11 today, Launceston and Devonport 14, Burnie 13 degrees. Flinders Island the least coldest with 16, St Helens 15, King Island, Strawn and Friendly Beaches 14, Lowhead 13, Grove 11 and Bushy Park 10 degrees. Some low cloud over northern Tasmania and over the east and western maritime areas, the rest of the state fairly clear. The frontal cloud band is there over southern WA and onshore flow brought cloud over the eastern coast of the mainland. Tomorrow the high slowly moves to the east as the cold front keeps tracking our way, constricting those isobars. The northerly winds blowing over tomorrow, 15 to 25 knots over eastern waters, but stronger over the west and south, swells at 2.5 metres. A strong wind warning for western coastal waters from southeast Cape to Stanley. Hobart a high of 15 and mostly sunny. Geefston 14 degrees, a cool start, even cooler for Bothwell, a morning frost but a sunny afternoon and 14. Launceston 15, foggy start and a late shower. Showers developing for Devonport 14, a late shower for Cressy 13, the maximum. Burnie a high of 14 with showers developing, a late shower for Strawn 16 and 15 for Curry on King Island. Sunny before that change. 15 and mostly sunny for St Helens, 16 for Swansea, Orford okay and 15 degrees. On Thursday, fine over the south, but showers for the north and west and possibly by evening elsewhere. Friday, showers across the state, but once again mainly over the west and north, and wet weather to see us into the weekend, and that'll be with us for a couple of days after that. Further north tomorrow, and cloudy in Perth, a shower developing in Adelaide, sunny but windy in Melbourne, a possible shower forecast for Sydney and a probable shower for Brisbane. Cool and clear in Hobart. It's currently 6 degrees, partly cloudy in Launceston on 9, mostly cloudy in Devonport, 11 degrees. Kim, that'll do me. See you tomorrow night.
You will indeed. Thanks, Murph. And that is all your news for now. I'll be back later with updates. Thanks for your company tonight. Good night.